A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining UBC TV. It's a Friday and welcome back from the independence celebrations yesterday. And hopefully as you sing, may you be convicted every time you sing the national anthem. May each word that comes out of your breath and rolls off your tongue be a conviction to you. May you not just sing words as if you're passing through them. May each word be a conviction to you as you sing the Uganda national anthem. Once again, happy 63rd birthday to Uganda. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. And speaking of independence, I'm back home to NRM, says Museveni. Critiques Samson Monday. Colonel Samson Monday, one of the heroes of the National Resistance Army Bush War that brought President Museveni to power turned dissident, says he's back in the ruling party. And Colonel Monday, who was a strong critic of the NRM, has been living in Sweden since he fled to exile with Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Chakabari, first in Rwanda and later in the Scandinavian nation after falling out with President Museveni. And speaking of President Museveni, well, it looks like looking at matters entertainment, Jose Chameleone unveils NRM branded bus and joins Museveni's 2026 campaign trail. The legendary musician and singer officially set off to join President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on the campaign trail ahead of the 2026 general elections. And this comes after the musician was handed a campaign bus to support the president and the chairman of the NRM party. The bus, fully branded in NRM colors, will be used to traverse different parts of the country during the campaign season. Now, quote unquote, he said to all my good friends, here is the bus set to rally for support for Museveni for the 2026 elections, and the bus is ready to swing in action. Now, looking at a few of the updates that we have regards the campaign trail leading to the general elections 2026. Today, that was today, indeed, the 10th. I almost thought yesterday was 10th, but today is 10th October 2025. Your candidate Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of the National Resistance Movement will be resting for the campaign, seeing as he was attending to the independence celebrations yesterday at Kololo. And the candidate Kasibate Robert of the National Peasant Party is expected in Kamwenge, and Tagwenda candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu of the National Unity Platform is expected in Nakasongola for his campaign. And candidate Mugisha Muntu of the Alliance for National Transformation is expected in Makindye Division. John Nathan Nandela Mafabi of the Forum for Democratic Change is expected in Amolata and Dokolo. Mubarak Munyagwa of the Common Man's Party will be in Mayuge and Namayingo. And Bulira Frank of the Revolutionary People's Party will be resting as well, while Mabirizi Joseph of the Conservative Party will be resting from the campaign as well. Once again, good morning, Uganda. And thank you so much to you who starts the show to the dot every day with us, every single weekday, Monday to Friday. And today being a Friday, let your hair loose, metaphorically speaking. You might not have the hair to let loose, literally, but let the mood loosen up, because it's a Friday and it's the best way for you to be ushered into the weekend. But as UBC, Friday is light, but still with the vision and the goal to inspire you. Now, taking a trip down into the local scene, let's start off, of course, with matters independence. That was yesterday. Ugandans marked their 63rd Independence Day anniversary at the Kololo Independence Grounds in Kampala. The day commemorates Uganda's attainment of independence from British colonial rule in 1962. The chief guest, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, reflected on the country's history and the challenges before and after independence. He said that until 1972, Uganda suffered from bad governance, marked by political instability and extrajudicial killings. Since then, Museveni has projected strong economic growth, boasting that Uganda's economy is expected to grow by 7% driven by oil production. He has highlighted key performance indicators. Over the years, Uganda's population has grown to 46 million. Infant mortality has declined Life expectancy has risen to 68 years. Industrialization is advancing and science and technology are thriving. President Museveni also called for the East African Community Federation and integration to expand market access, strengthen regional defense as well. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni welcomed back his former NRA comrade, Colonel Samson Mande, who has returned from exile after several years. The president received the returning war veteran during celebrations marking Uganda's 63rd independence anniversary. Now, still staying with matters independence, as the country celebrated its 63rd independence, city dwellers called on government to prioritize working on health and education sectors. These cite how the two sectors are firm pillars and crucial for Uganda's development, with efforts focused on improving quality and access to services. Celebrating 63 years of independence, city dwellers called remains clear. City dwellers' calls remained clear on a number of challenges that they think government should work on. Some recalled the challenges of poverty and unemployment to inadequate jobs and skilling programs that can benefit the whole population. These called on government to prioritize improving on the health and education for the country's development. According to the dwellers, barriers in the two sectors still set back the country. However, some appreciated government on some achievements together with the peace and stability in the country. Now again, as Uganda commemorated 63 years of independence, some political experts say a lot still remains desired. The party president for Forum for Democratic Change, Patrick Oboy Amuriat, says over the years the systems that had been put in place by the British have since been broken down, emphasizing that after independence they thought that they are going to be under self-rule. On the economic independence, Amuriat said the country is wallowing in debts because it is largely dependent on foreigners, hence being powerless and not independent. Amuriat says 63 years of Uganda's security is under capture and the country has not experienced smooth change of governance. On the other hand, the FDC presidential candidate Nathan Nendela Mafabi says although some self-governance has been achieved, aspects of human rights like freedom of speech and association have not been achieved. He says the GDP being cited by the Ministry of Finance is imported because even businesses that are thriving are for foreigners and yet they repatriate profits back in their country. He expresses the need to widen the tax base through investing in productive sectors. Well, that marks the end of what we have on the local scene. Now let's quickly take a plane and fly to all over the world outside of Africa, that is on the global scene. Starting off with matters Israel. Israel approves Trump's plan for Gaza, and that is, Israel has approved the Gaza ceasefire and hostage release plan. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said in a statement. Netanyahu calls it a momentous development and thanks President Donald Trump as well as the U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, who both attended Israeli cabinet meetings. Trump says Israeli hostages could be released on Monday or Tuesday, as well as the ceasefire and hostages. The first phase of an agreement would also see Israel release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Israeli troops beginning to withdraw from parts of Gaza and hundreds of trucks of aid a day entering Gaza. This is a major moment, but it's a ceasefire, not a peace deal. The toughest of issues are still on the table as part of the agreement on Gaza reached overnight. 48 hostages still in captivity in Gaza will be released, of whom 20 are still believed to be alive. The deal will also see 1,700 Palestinian prisoners released by Israel. Our Gaza correspondent Rushi Abolaf explains who they are in that was a video that was shared by the BBC. Now, a man in China lived more than 170 days after transplant with pig liver, doctors report. Interesting. Doctors in China say they transplanted a genetically modified pig liver into a 71-year-old man who lived 171 days after the procedure, and 38 of those days were the pig organ in place. A first to be published in a peer-reviewed journal. Scientists have had early success transplanting genetically modified pig kidneys and hearts into humans, and pig livers have been transplanted into people who were brain dead. But experts in the field of xenotransplantation using animal organs in people have had some concerns about whether the liver would be a good candidate for such a procedure. Quote unquote, everyone always says, oh, liver is too complicated to transplant compared to the heart or kidney. But after this, in the future, I think people will think differently. I think liver is good if we can get enough human genes in the pig, said Dr. Bei Cheng's son, president of the first affiliated hospital of Anhui Medical University and co-author of the new study. Unlike hearts and kidneys that have more narrow functions, the liver is more complicated to replace with a pig organ because it's large and has a dual blood supply on multiple functions. Interesting study there. Anyways, brings us to Africa, and in particular East Africa. Somalia will begin preparations to boost teaching of the Swahili language in schools and universities, its president says. President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud made the announcement on Tuesday at an East African Community Summit, saying Swahili would be taught alongside the country's official languages, Somali and Arabic, as well as English. The move reflects Somalia's deeper integration with the 8-member regional bloc, which uses Swahili as an official language. Somalia wears many different hats, and Mohamud said at the summit in the Somali capital, Mogadishu. He explained that Somalia adopted Arabic when it joined the Arab League in 1974 and teaches languages such as English, and would now introduce Swahili after its membership in the East African community. Quote unquote, the country's universities, especially the Somali National University, should focus more on developing the Swahili language, which is the language of East Africa, he said. And he's continued to say adopting Swahili is important for our integration into the region. Well, that's it for what we have on the global scene. Now let's have a look at what we have in the dailies today, this Friday, starting off with the New Vision, economy to hit 230 trillion in 2026, says Museveni. That's a headline in the New Vision. Also, Colonel Samson Monday returns from exile, and still in the picture there is a picture of President Museveni with Diamond Jubilee medalists. So that is Pastor Freddy Sechewa from Chotera, Bishop Simon Peter Oulo from Palisa, Haji Daudi Nyakahuma from Bunyangabu, and Aldad Nyanja from Chotera during the Independence Day celebrations. But also looking at other stories in the New Vision, Matters Entertainment, the Beat Baraka, Uganda's musical export, and also looking at Nebi Zombo voters speak out on issues affecting them. Uganda decides 2026. Also a report on social media increasing child marriages. Sad indeed, but worth a study. So get yourself a copy of the New Vision. Also, Varsity Quiz, Kabale battles Chambogo as Lira takes on UCU. Also, Matters Health, frequent STIs fueling cervical cancer cases. Also, the Bride and Groom magazine is out. So make sure that you do check it out. Looking at what we have in the rest of East Africa, going into Tanzania, the Citizen, the headline there is Hope Risk as AI Link in Mental Health Grows. That's a story indeed to read, understand, and find a solution. But young people have in recent years increasingly turned to AI tools for support, motivation, and income generation. But this growing dependence on technology has raised concerns about over-reliance and exposure to psychological risks. In other news, in the Citizen, we do have Samia urges Simiyu Mara to trust CCM for stability and growth, and how Tanzania will benefit as $300 million graphite project is launched. Also still in the Citizen, experts addressing skills mismatch, a crucial step to attaining Vision 2050, and court approves new affidavit in Pole Pole abduction case. Now let's have a look at what we have in the Daily Nation. Gideon bows to Ruto pressure. That is the headline there in the Daily Nation. And Minneapolis IEBC will conduct 7 parliamentary and 17 ward by-elections on November 17th. Also looking at matters, head teachers lose power over KCSE exam certificates, and The Voice, broken boys, broken men. Interesting story to look forward to. Also looking at trade, push for a visa-free Africa, stirs COMESA summit. And we do have couple fulfilled love vows to their death. That is an interesting story to start your weekend. Fake C-section birth exposes SHA fraud. All of that is what we do have in the Daily Nation. Now, let's take a look at what we have in the Gazette as of today, the 10th of October, 2025. The Gazette in there has the table of contents. And if you scroll down all the way to the different notices, we do have the Commissioners for Oaths Advocates Act Commission notice. To all to whom these presents may come, greetings. Be it known that on the 10th day of September 2025, Akantora Nakash, an advocate of the High Court, has been appointed to be a Commissioner for Oaths under the above-mentioned Act for so long as she continues to practice as such advocate, and the commission is not revoked, given under the hand of Chief Justice Alphonse Chigamoy Owunyedolo on the 10th day of September 2025. And the other notice to look into is to all to whom these presents may come, greetings. Be it known that on the 10th day of September 2025, Nakamia Kate, an advocate of the High Court, has been appointed to be a Commissioner for Oaths under the above-mentioned Act for so long as she continues to practice as such advocate, and the commission is not revoked, and that is under the hand of Alphonse Chigamoy Owunyedolo, the Chief Justice. And be it known that on the 10th day of September 2025, Omonia Rama, an advocate of the High Court, has been appointed to be a Commissioner for Oaths under the above-mentioned Act for so long as he continues to practice as such advocate, and the commission is not revoked, still under the hand of the Chief Justice. Well, that brings us to the end of what we have in the dailies. And happening now in Germany is the NIRA mass registration of the diaspora for national identity cards. As part of the celebration of the Independence Month, Uganda Embassy in Germany is carrying out the mass registration for Ugandans living in Germany. The exercise was kicked off by Air Ambassador Stephen Mobiru, who welcomed the NIRA team and encouraged all Ugandans in Germany to take up the opportunity and register for renewal or new identity cards. The team will carry out the exercise in Berlin and 5 other cities within Germany, including Cologne, Munich, Frankfurt, Hamburg, and Nuremberg. Well, if you're in Germany, this is an opportunity for you. to take part, and at least you shouldn't miss out on having your identifier as a Ugandan. Well, that's it from what we have on what's making the rounds on the news scene. Let's have a short break. And definitely when we come back, we'll be talking about books, the importance of books from an author, and of course, rising after a deep fall. Good morning.
Live from UBC.
A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining UBC TV. It's a Friday, and welcome back from the independence celebrations yesterday. And hopefully, as you sing, may you be convicted every time you sing the national anthem. May each word that comes out of your breath and rolls off your tongue be a conviction to you. May you not just sing words as if you're passing through them. May each word be a conviction to you as you sing the Uganda national anthem. Once again, happy 63rd birthday to Uganda. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. And speaking of independence, I'm back home to NRM, says Museveni. Critiques Samson Monday. Colonel Samson Monday, one of the heroes of the National Resistance Army Bush War that brought President Museveni to power, turned dissident, says he's back in the ruling party. And Colonel Monday, who was a strong critic of the NRM, has been living in Sweden since he fled to exile with Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Chakabari, first in Rwanda and later in the Scandinavian nation after falling out with President Museveni. And speaking of President Museveni, well, it looks like looking at matters entertainment, Jose Chameleone unveils NRM branded bus and joins Museveni's 2026 campaign trail. The legendary musician and singer officially set off to join President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on the campaign trail ahead of the 2026 general elections. And this comes after the musician was handed a campaign bus to support the president and the chairman of the NRM party. The bus, fully branded in NRM colors, will be used to traverse different parts of the country during the campaign season. Now, quote unquote, he said to all my good friends, here is the bus set to rally for support for Museveni for the 2026 elections, and the bus is ready to swing in action. Now, looking at a few of the updates that we have regards the campaign trail leading to the general elections 2026. Today, that was today, indeed, the 10th. I almost thought yesterday was 10th, but today is 10th October 2025. Candidate Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of the National Resistance Movement will be resting for the campaign, seeing as he was attending to the independence celebrations yesterday at Kololo. And candidate Kasibate Robert of the National Peasant Party is expected in Kamwenge, and Tagwenda candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu of the National Unity Platform is expected in Nakasongola for his campaign. And candidate Mugisha Muntu of the Alliance for National Transformation is expected in Makindye Division. John Nathan Nandela Mafabi of the Forum for Democratic Change is expected in Amolata and Dokolo. Mubarak Munyagwa of the Common Man's Party will be in Mayuge and Namayingo. And Bulira Frank of the Revolutionary People's Party will be resting as well, while Mabirizi Joseph of the Conservative Party will be resting from the campaign as well. Once again, good morning, Uganda. And thank you so much to you who starts the show to the dot every day with us, every single weekday, Monday to Friday. And today being a Friday, let your hair loose, metaphorically speaking. You might not have the hair to let loose, literally, but let the mood loosen up, because it's a Friday and it's the best way for you to be ushered into the weekend. But as UBC, Friday is light, but still with the vision and the goal to inspire you. Now, taking a trip down into the local scene, let's start off, of course, with matters independence. That was yesterday. Ugandans marked their 63rd Independence Day anniversary at the Kololo Independence Grounds in Kampala. The day commemorates Uganda's attainment of independence from British colonial rule In 1962, the chief guest, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, reflected on the country's history and challenges before and after independence. He said that until 1972, Uganda suffered from bad governance, marked by political instability and extrajudicial killings. Since then, Museveni has projected strong economic growth, boasting that Uganda's economy is expected to grow by 7%, driven by oil production. He has highlighted key performance indicators. Over the years, Uganda's population has grown to 46 million. Infant mortality has declined. Life expectancy has risen to 68 years. Industrialization is advancing, and science and technology are thriving. President Museveni also called for the East African Community Federation and integration to expand market access, strengthen regional defense as well. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni welcomed back his former NRA comrade, Colonel Samson Mande, who has returned from exile after several years. The president received the returning war veteran during celebrations marking Uganda's 63rd independence anniversary. Now, still staying with matters independence, as the country celebrated its 63rd independence, city dwellers called on government to prioritize working on health and education sectors. These cite how the two sectors are firm pillars and crucial for Uganda's development, with efforts focused on improving quality and access to services. Celebrating 63 years of independence, city dwellers calls remained clear on a number of challenges that they think government should work on. Some recalled the challenges of poverty and unemployment to inadequate jobs and skilling programs that can benefit the whole population. These called on government to prioritize improving on the health and education for the country's development. According to the dwellers, barriers in the two sectors still set back the country. However, some appreciated government on some achievements together with the peace and stability in the country. Now again, as Uganda commemorated 63 years of independence, some political experts say a lot still remains desired. The party president for Forum for Democratic Change, Patrick Oboy Amuriat, says over the years the systems that had been put in place by the British have since been broken down, emphasizing that after independence they thought that they
when taking this product. For more information, visit our website www.hgo.com or call 0800 335555.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here. In the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's what you feel in the gentle caress of tropical wind from the mountaintops. And the glow in your heart from a warm neighborly invite. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV this Friday. And like I said or reminded you that every Friday is just that day you loosen up a little bit, but the goal remains to inspire you here at UBC TV. It's Good Morning, Uganda. And my name is Julie F. Nantaba. And indeed, allow me take a moment to just remind you of the campaign trail as it stands today. Today we do have candidate Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who is resting, and candidate Kasibante Robert will be in Kamwenge and Chitagwenda. And looking at other candidates, we do have candidate Mujisha Muntu, who will be in Machindia Division, and candidate Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu will be in Nakasongola, and candidate Nathan Nandala Mafabi of the FDC party will be in Amolata and Dokolo. Now, candidate Mubarak Munyagwa of the CMP party will be in Mayuge and Namayingo, and candidate Bulira Frank will be resting, as well as candidate Mabirizi Joseph of the CP party will be resting as well. So take note, if you are in any of these areas, make sure that you go listen to them, because at the end of the day, as a Ugandan, it's your right to vote and it's your power to vote, and you cannot vote for what you do not know, especially voting under bandwagon is also another mistake that we make. Reminding you that one time we hosted a very honorable candidate or delegate who said that as a Ugandan, you are the honorable member of this country, not the person you vote into. So exercise your right. But right now, let's take a trip into matters that inspire you the more, of course, rising after a deep fall. So the best way to be a part of this conversation, 0709-602-592. Now, the person I have in studio with me, she is an amazing author. She is a coach. She is a speaker, very eloquent, very bold when you find her speaking. But out of all of these amazing platforms at which she serves is a story that got birthed after a fall. And we just want to see how it all evolves into the other, up to a point where she becomes an amazing author. And of course, tell us the story of her books and the story of her journey as an author. I know you will be inspired. So whatever crosses your mind, make sure that you do share it on 0709-602-592. Once again, my name is Julie F. Nantaba, and in studio with me is Rebecca Chisache Macheli. Good morning.
Good morning, Julie.
So good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
An author who is writing all these amazing books. She has a book coming out, but we will be talking about it in just a bit. But like I said, she is an author. She is a speaker. She is a coach. And let's just start from her place of service as a coach. Now, she's not new here. She has been here on Good Morning Uganda before to just share her sobriety story. You know, that was during the Alcohol Awareness Month. In case you missed out on that story, let's take a trip back through her telling us the journey of how her coaching comes about and through that journey just briefly. So once again, good morning, Rebecca. Let's start with you being a coach.
Right. So I am a sobriety coach,
Right.
and many people don't understand what the word
Exactly.
sobriety
It's
means.
so new. It's quite
But
new.
it comes from the word sober. So I basically help people who are on their journey of sobriety, especially those who have been in rehabilitation and are now seeking aftercare services. So I run an organization named Ahava Life. So it acts as a digital, as an addiction resources center. So we provide sobriety coaching services Then for those who get in touch with us and have extra needs, who really need to enter rehabilitation or medically assisted treatment, we have partner rehabilitation centers, and so we do referrals to them. Our main focus actually is community education and awareness. So as a coach, that's where I go into schools, into fellowships, institutions, talking about addiction, talking about the long-term effects of substance use and substance abuse as well. This is an issue that's very big in Uganda.
It is.
And unfortunately, it is starting to be normalized, starting to be woven into our social fabric, whereby somebody is an addict, but somehow they label themselves a party animal. And so these are really things that we want people to acknowledge and understand that, you know, if you are in need of help, help is available.
And thank you for mentioning that,
Yes.
because especially on this day such as a Friday, what we do here Friday is there's a lot of entertainment conversation as well.
Absolutely.
And when we look at the docket of entertainment, there are many people Ugandans are following
Yes.
who are socialites,
Yes.
who have all these lifestyles, and they're either posing in bars with bottles of alcohol,
Yes.
posing in bars with names as so-and-so girl,
Yes.
maybe moonlight girl,
Right.
party animal, energy of the party,
Yes.
you know, and it's so heartbreaking that these are just being normalized,
Yes.
but the real deal is they are addicts.
Right.
That's heartbreaking.
It is, and I mean, this is the narrative that has been sold by media, by big alcohol as well, because they have the budgets to be able to pass their advertising, their messaging in whatever way, you know. And so it really comes down to governance and seeing how things like the alcohol, you know, policy, control policies can be implemented.
Right.
Because it's there, but it's not being implemented. This is why alcohol is very easily available. Alcohol is very cheap, you know. Why should I be in the car driving my child to school at 7, 8 a.m. and then I hear an alcohol advert playing? I don't think that these are things that should be taken lightly, and you know, we do call upon the necessary institutions and bodies to actually look into this issue and take the necessary action.
And indeed, it's as deep as even advertising,
Yes.
because these companies pay money.
A big budget.
And
No, big
they
alcohol
have-
has big budgets.
They have
right.
huge budgets.
Yes.
Most of the
Yes.
media houses are run by,
Right.
their budgets, alcohol companies are
Exactly.
running media houses.
Exactly.
So sad. Now, staying still with matters of being a sobriety coach and community engagement.
Yes.
In this season of elections,
Yes.
many aspirants, political aspirants and candidates are using it as a tool to get votes.
But can you blame them? Can you blame them? Ugandans have been tuned to love alcohol.
How have we been tuned? How did we get
We
here?
have. I mean,
How did
when-
we get here?
it's very intentional. You know, again, I mentioned the use of media. Then also it being a place where I really feel as a society, Ugandans, we don't have third spaces. And so bars and watering holes have become places of engagement. And so this has also increased people's, you know, affinity towards alcohol and also other substances as well. And so over the years, somehow, and I think you're not strange to this, Uganda is party central. In Africa, everyone knows this.
Happiest country.
This is the flex.
in
Other
Africa.
countries are known as Savannah Valley, you know, like Silicon Valley in America. Kenya is known as Savannah Valley. You know, Uganda as we are party central.
Party hub.
You know, and so there's a reason for that. It's over the years very intentionally, you know, seeing how alcohol has been woven into trends, how even with the coming of digital media and social media, how the conversation and the narrative has been woven into that through influencers, through aggressive advertising. I was walking through a certain mall the other day, and during the day, it was about 10 a.m., it was a weekend, and there was a certain alcohol company that was doing on-ground guerrilla marketing. So the girls were dressed up, and then they would walk up to you with a cup and say, hello, have you tasted our new this and this?
Oh my
And
God.
so the question in my mind is, how does this individual walking up to me not know that I am an active addict in recovery, or I've just come out of rehabilitation? That already is a stumbling block to
Right,
somebody.
yes.
So one of the issues that we face is because of the lack of implementation or regulation on alcohol, we have many people who are going into rehabilitation centers, going through the rehabilitation process, and then when they are thrust back into society, it's being thrust in their faces everywhere. And so they end up relapsing. And this is one of the issues we are facing, especially as aftercare providers, for rehabilitation, people undergoing rehabilitation.
That's sad. Right now, as you were speaking, my mind went to the tourism sector. It's a beautiful space.
Yes.
Uganda is one of the most beautiful countries, and tourism is one of the sectors that are earning highest for Uganda's tax values.
Yes.
But now, if you think about it, most of the adverts that are pushing all these beautiful spaces, alcohol has to feature somewhere. As they
Of
show these
course.
people having fun,
Yes.
I actually look forward to watching a tourism advert
Right.
without alcohol being scented. That would be nice.
Next to, it's possible, but next to impossible as well. But I mean,
I know. And so anyways, it's still speaking on policies. At least let's try to start going away from that conversation after you speaking
Right.
into what you think government should do more.
to be honest, there's,
Because Uganda is now dying.
let's start with what they should do. Okay, what they should do is, one, be brutally honest about the long-term effects of alcohol, because you know they do have the responsibility of stating on their products that this is for 18 and above, and then do not drink responsibly. But that's very vague messaging.
Right.
What does drink responsibly mean? Is it 5? What is the amount of drink responsibly, and for who? Do you understand? What does drink responsibly mean? And then also it comes down to the government again. There needs to be strict regulation around alcohol. As much as alcohol has been beautified and glamorized, I will not speak into anybody's lifestyle habits, but I'll be very honest. It doesn't matter how much alcohol you drink, or alcohol is a psychoactive substance. And so each and every time you drink it, it's rewiring your brain to tolerate it more and to desire it more. So in the long run, the end game is increasing your likability to get addicted to it. And we've seen the effects of addiction. Rehabilitation centers are struggling. Butabika the other day told us that it's full.
Right.
Schools, families, the stories, when I came out with my story, it was heartbreaking to hear how women are struggling with alcohol, but they have to keep quiet because of the stigma that's related to it. You would rather label yourself as a night queen, slay queen, and all of this, rather than say, you know what, I'm someone who needs help.
I'm an addict.
Yeah. Yes.
I read your story of having dealt with athletes.
Yes.
And
Wow.
take us through that. Uganda
Yeah.
being one of those countries that are so active in sports. Sports brings us together as
Right.
Ugandans. But when we see all these players, these
Yeah.
actors in the sports arena, we support them, not knowing
Yes.
that they're battling with a lot behind
Yeah,
the
no,
scenes.
again, as you just said, and as we just discussed, drinking has been, excessive drinking, I'll use excessive drinking, has been woven into our social fabric. That means in every aspect of society. At birthday parties, you're invited to a 1-year-old's birthday party, but it's like
And
it's the
there's
adult's party. You're invited for a rugby game, but people are not even there to watch rugby. People are there to, it's been woven into our
Now that you say
hobbies,
that.
into our third spaces. So this is how the athletes also become involved in it.
Yes.
And the thing as to why I was very touched about that engagement that I had with athletes that you were talking about is because when I was actually homeless on the streets, I was drinking with a lot of notable athletes, most of them basketball players and rugby players. And I saw them deteriorate. I saw them lose their careers. Very talented people, but very wasted. Very wasted. And it's very sad because seeing where the direction Uganda is going, especially with sports, I really believe that Uganda has a place
Right.
especially with basketball and with, rugby. And so this is something that cannot be ignored. After a game, people are just looking forward to what's happening after the game. After the game is therapy. They call therapy.
Yes.
And so I really believe, again, it comes back to governance and implementation of legislation, and also better legislation around the rules that govern alcohol distribution, sale, and advertising as well. Yes.
You've talked about some of the games that have been branded. I'm looking at rugby right now, and all I see is booze.
Again,
It's
they
the
have big
picture.
budgets,
Yes.
because that's how they are able to get into community. That's how you're able to get into the conversation. The purpose of every brand, I've worked in advertising for a very long time.
Yes.
And so the purpose of a brand is to get into community and be a part of conversation. So they're always going to look for where are people, and that's where they're going to go.
Wow.
When community moved from from experiential to social media, everyone now has a budget for digital marketing. You get what I mean? So it's always a brand's responsibility, and I can't blame the marketing manager because that's their job. It just so happens that they are excellent at their job, like super excellent. And so we need to actually come down to the place where we actually have a conversation and say, yes, this substance is here, but educate people about the long-term effects of consuming it.
Right.
Its effects on individuals, its effects on families, on societies, and on countries as a whole as well.
Right.
Because you can think that, me, I'm just drinking my own things. You don't know how your habits are contributing to the national scale of things. Yeah.
Now let's move into your docket as a speaker. How does this start? But then what do you speak about on different engagements?
I speak about very many things because when I came out with my addiction story, I believe my story touches on very different things. So many people picked out very different things from the story, and so that's what I'm invited to speak about. Majority of what I speak about is addiction, substance use. Usually I do this to youth. Usually I'm invited to rehabilitation centers to speak to addicts in recovery, just to inspire them and give them hope and encourage them that there is something better on the other side. In my story, there's also issues of abortion. So there are people who call me to speak to young girls about how alcohol can make you reckless and make decisions that can affect your life permanently or temporarily, either way, but still just letting them know and educate them that you need to make better decisions in life. Then also simply by reason of the fact that a lot of my work is faith-based, I'm invited to minister to places and also just inspire people to live a life of godly purpose. You know, and I'm very big on my faith. It's something even in addiction recovery, even as we are nurturing someone's soul, I always encourage each and every person who comes to have a life, we always encourage them to have spiritual nourishment, you know, to have that relationship with God, because the spirit is the anchor for the soul and for your will and for your emotions to be able to start living a very balanced life.
Now, just indeed to shed more light on the spiritual side of things, many a times as humans, many of us take a while without believing these spiritual things. And one would wonder how exactly you have alcohol addiction, something that needs healing, needs to go. But what exactly do you mean by spiritual? That stuff doesn't sound real. Yes. So how do you make it real, especially someone who's recovering and perhaps they haven't even been in that lifestyle?
You know, the thing is, there are some things you just don't have to make real because the consequences that come with denying their existence will eventually manifest. It's like saying, I don't believe in gravity. Okay, you go and jump from a building. You understand what I mean? There are some things that you just don't have to explain. And my story is one example of that. The point I had reached, I struggled. I started drinking alcohol when I was 15 years old. And I had grown up with a dysfunctionally alcoholic mother. I lost her at the age of 14. And I remember growing up saying, I'll never ever drink alcohol because of what it did to her. But at the age of 15, a year later in my S4 VAC, a friend invited me to, I hope my age mates are listening, they know, a certain discotheque. And so I went there, and that night I tasted alcohol for the first time. I loved it. I loved the effect that it had. I loved the feeling. And that night began my 15-year struggle with alcohol. And you know, it was the last 5 years when I was homeless because I was homeless on the streets of Kampala for about 5 years, up to 2020, you know, and it was at that point where I can assure you within 15 years, people ask me, but didn't you ever try to stop within those? It had gotten to a point where I had tried to stop and I couldn't. The alcohol and nicotine and all these other things had gotten mastery over me, to a point where my soul was not in control anymore. I needed to find a deeper foundation for it to sit on. And for many people, the COVID-19 lockdown was a curse. For me, it was a blessing, because if that lockdown had not come, only God knows if I would even be alive to this day, to be honest. And so it was in that room that I actually began an active rehabilitation. I keep telling people rehab is not a place, it's a process. I was in a very small room. My brother found me, got me off the streets, and I was put in a very small room somewhere in Charlie Wajala. That's where I spent my entire lockdown. A very tiny room, very, very tiny room.
Lockdown was what, 2020 into
2020 to 20
2021? That was a long time.
Was it up to like 22? Didn't we have lockdown twice?
We
Because
we had
we're
been
even in the
broken.
Guinness Book of Records for the longest lockdown. No, it's true.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
so-
2020 happened, then 2021 in June.
Yes.
The president lifted it, and then again it happened.
Yes.
Yes.
So I was in that small room in that time, and it was in that time where a mind that's accustomed to chaos, they know how to comprehend clarity. So there was no access to alcohol, there's no access to cigarettes, I had no money. So I was made sober. By sober, I mean clear mind, by force. And so it was in that time that God started to make me remember some things I didn't want to remember from my childhood, things I had buried. And so this is where the book was born from. The book was me writing down whatever it is I had carried, things I needed to heal from, my entire life story from when I was born up to that point where I was. And so it's incredible because for me, I didn't know what God was doing with this book. For me, it was an outlet, an outpouring, so that I could release the burden that I had been carrying, running and escaping from
Just
the last
to
15
interject
years.
a bit,
Yeah.
as you are writing, you are just writing on paper? 'Cause
No,
you had
on my
nothing.
phone.
On your phone?
All I had was a phone. Let me tell you about that room. All I had was a mattress with no bed sheets. I had a pillow. I had a small bag with clothes, an extension cable, and a phone that my brother had given me. And that's where I wrote that book. I still have that phone. I can't throw it away until God says this one is dead. No. But by reason of that attachment, it's the one where I wrote. Because really, during the lockdown, everyone was on their phones. Data, you know, it's the only place. And so I remember I would try looking for relief from the things that my mind was clear. I started remembering the regrettable things that I did, the abortions in university, being kicked out of the house by my father, you know, being a terrible daughter, being a terrible sister, terrible friend, all the regrettable things I did on the street in the last 5 years. It was so heavy. And now at this time I didn't have alcohol to run to because it was an escape mechanism. Yeah. So I was now starting to feel and heal through that. And
Right.
so that's really how it got.
Right now, what you see on your screen is Rebecca's first book,
Yes.
the book that she typed on her phone, alone in a room with just a mattress without bed sheets and probably a pillow, a cable, an extension cable, and her phone. Now that you see, New Wine, is a brand new book that she is officially launching today, and right now we're getting into that conversation a little bit, but I hope my producer is able to swipe back to the first book, Woman, Fire, Grace. You could be broken. You could be in a room, maybe not a literal room like Rebecca's, but a mental room. You could be in a place where you feel so lonely and everything in the world has abandoned you. Out of that position of her life, a book and her journey as an author was birthed. That means you too, a lot can happen for you. So yes, let's continue into that story. You're typing this book.
Yes.
And at what point does it become alive? How come you didn't even leave it on that phone?
I couldn't leave it on the phone. For some reason, I remember as I was typing it, I said, but why am I even writing this book? I should leave it. And so at that time, an opportunity came up to work at a radio station. And so I abandoned the book. So I started focusing on the radio. A whole year went by. The book was on my phone. Until I met...
Thank God the phone wasn't stolen.
Right, you know. No, but God works things in his own way,
Yes.
you know. And so I remember a year later in February 2022, because I started writing the book in 2021. So in Feb 2022, I had finished the book, but it wasn't refined. You know, I had written all the chapters and everything, but I did not have the will to, you know, go further with it and, you know, package it and promote it and do all these things. And so in Feb 2022, I met a certain gentleman and he was speaking to me and he was praying for me, a man I had never known in my life. And he just, after speaking to me, he prayed for me. And the last thing he said is, the Lord says, write the book. He says,
Did
the
he
Lord
know
says,
that?
He didn't. He met me for the first time. I had never known him. He was from the United States. I didn't know him.
Yeah.
And so he said, actually his words were, the Holy Spirit says, release the book. And so, you know, it was just at that moment, because the only person who knew about the book was me and God, no one else. Nobody knew about this book. And so immediately I ran home. I started to asking God, give me wisdom. How do authors work? Because all I have is a phone. Authors, do authors even live like I do? Do you understand? And so, you know, by his grace and by introducing me to an amazing group of people, I was able to get a publisher, a copy editor, and in a few months on May 5th, 2022, Woman Fire Grace was born.
Right.
And it's incredible. It has given me opportunities. It took me from a small room in Chaliwajala to moving to Kenya, to
Yes.
Nigeria, to the United Kingdom, just to be able to speak and encourage people about understanding that, you know, for those who are struggling with substance use, that there actually is hope, and I'm a living testimonial testament of that. For those who have not yet started drinking or who have not started indulging, don't. That's my message. I actually call myself a sobriety advocate. I don't advocate for responsible drinking because no one knows what that is. You know, it could be
Yes. One
10
thing could lead
units,
to-
it could be
lead to
20, it
another.
could be 1. What is that? You know, and so, yeah, that's really my speaking journey.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, the speaking journey also has you being the author. Now let's look
Yes.
at New Wine. New Wine, the Broken Soul's Guide to Healing, a Fresh Start with God. New Wine is this book. Let's talk about it. How is it
Yes.
birthed? Because we
Right.
thought Woman Fire Grace was it. It was just a story.
Yes.
And perhaps donkey years later, but
Right.
it's just such a short time, 2022, and now we're in 2025.
Yes.
New Wine is birthed.
So new wine is based on the scripture Mark chapter 2 verse 22, which talks about the new wine and the new wine skins, whereby basically new wine, you know, if new wine is poured into an old wineskin, the wineskin will burst.
Burst,
So
yes.
it needs a new wineskin. What this means is basically the old cannot work in the new. And everywhere that I've been invited to speak in the last 3 years, I've understood that everyone who's reached out to me and wherever I've spoken about my story, I always got one resounding question. Because my testimony and my story is I gave my life to Christ and surrendered to Christ, and that's how I was able to get sober, even with undergoing my recovery journey. But the question everyone would ask me is, what does that look like? And the truth is, it's very easy for us to get comfortable using all these buzzwords.
Yes.
Give it to God. What does that look like?
Yes.
Surrender to His sovereignty. What
What is
does
the
that look like?
practical
I am a
sense?
broken person. I have depression, anxiety. I am an addict. I've been drinking for years. My relationship with my family is broken. My relationship with my wife is in the pits. What does surrendering to God look like? And so I sat down and said, I really understand that a lot of things that people are dealing with, be it addictions, be it mental disorders, these things are really external manifestations of broken heart and mind issues. And so I decided to write this book to just document and write down what the healing journey would look like for that tripartite. What do I mean by the tripartite? As human beings, we are tripartite. We are three-part. We are spirit, soul, and body.
That's true.
So what does rejuvenation in all those places look like? Because many people focus on healing the heart, healing the emotions, but there's no spiritual healing. And one thing I tell you is the Bible says that hope deferred makes the heart sick. And so when people lose hope, I'm someone who understands that the foundation of hope for me was found in Christ. And so it was finding that foundation in God that actually began my healing journey. And so everyone who asks me, how did you do it? This is a book I can now refer them to. Because our journeys are different. We may all be broken, but our journeys are different. But you can apply forgiveness in a certain area. Some people are broken because they're people they need to forgive. Other people are broken because they need to forgive themselves. So it really just encompasses the different aspects of healing in different spaces for the spirit, for the soul, and the body as well. So that's how New Wine was birthed.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And now that you talk about healing, I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and you know how different experiences attack life, and people around you care, obviously. So everyone is suggesting a solution.
Yes.
Maybe heal. People will use the word you heal. Try to heal.
Yeah.
But indeed, no one, as they say it to you,
Right.
they don't know the process.
Yes.
They do not know how deep it cuts on your end, and the experience of your tragedy might not be their experience as they tell you to heal.
Yes.
And somebody was telling me that whilst there are people are telling you to heal, stop listening to them.
Yes.
Stop listening to people. Because the thing is, you're
Someone once said, slap a motivational speaker on site. But you know, sometimes it's true because sometimes we offer advice to people who don't need it. Do you understand? Sometimes we're trying to talk to people who need a hug. Sometimes we're trying to talk to people who just need to hear the word sorry.
Right.
You know, so first of all, some people are broken, but they don't have language for how they're broken or where they're broken. And so I think this book is actually based on my recovery journey in that small room. I was isolated from the world. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have very good nutrition, you know, which is why I tell people rehab centers are simply controlled environments for rehabilitation to happen. You have food, you have community, you have good counsel from counselors. So it was in that room where I was convicted to do a lot of things like having sensitive conversations with family members and friends, people that I had, you know, broken amends with. I had to make amends with them. And all these things, as much as I had ignored them for years, over 10 years, I started to see a certain form where I became lighter. I started to want to involve in life more. I wanted to be more present because alcohol had made me detached. I didn't know what day of the week it was, whether it was night or day. Do you understand? And so many people are actually numb to life or are broken, and all they need to do is to just understand, one, to give language to where they're broken, and two, have the understanding of what they need to do to fix that area.
Right.
Yeah.
New Wine is officially launched today, and its first launch and release to the world is here, right here on Good Morning Uganda on UBC TV. But I understand there's an official launch event coming up today.
Not today. I'll announce it on social media.
Right.
Yes, but today the book is officially available in bookstores in Uganda and Kenya, and on Amazon, and I'm really excited to share it with the world.
Ebook is present as well as the paperback. It's as well present, and of course, Woman Fire Grace is also equally present. So you want to be a better human being from someone who has been broken, and of course been lifted and elevated from that brokenness. At least you too want to have a unique story. As we close this, what are your parting shots?
My parting shots are, you know, each and every person has been ordained to live a life of purpose. And so along the way, we make certain mistakes, some which we condemn ourselves for, some which the world condemns us for. But my parting shot will always be, there is hope for each and every person.
Right.
That there is hope for each and everyone to start again. There is hope for a fresh start with everyone, and God is always available to provide that to whoever is in need of it.
How do we get in touch with you?
0776-116-182. That is 0776-116-182. That is the number. You can WhatsApp me. You can call me. Please don't call me after 7 p.m. because you will not get picked. Yeah. And you can follow me on social media, Rebecca Machelli, on all socials. I'm not on Facebook, but X, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram. I am also on YouTube, so please feel free to connect.
Right. She is a champion for a quality population, not a population full of quantity without quality. Right. And I hope for any government official watching, I think, yes, quality population is more important for Uganda. Especially in this month of independence. As we remember, as Ugandans celebrating 63 years, quality populations are more important. Perhaps you could consider working with her. For now, that's the end of this, but Good Morning Uganda does continue, and we still have a lot in store for you. We also have some comedy coming up a little later on the show, so stay tuned.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Taxation is a bit complicated, and the only way to demystify it and make it as easy to understand and to comply with is through engagement. Is there a limit to the number of cars a returning citizen is bringing into Uganda? Who has paid the excise duty on this water is not the supermarket which has sold you this bottle at 1,000. It's not the business. It is the man who is going to drink this water. We strongly believe that it will only be through such constructive engagement that we'll be able to broaden our tax base and build our country together.
Buza Commissioner. Now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Buza Commissioner.
Juku. Yo. Hawachikuwa. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Joko, I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that.
Okay.
The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here. In the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's what you feel in the gentle caress of tropical wind from the mountaintops. And the glow in your heart from a warm neighborly invite. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio. Take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day, don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Genshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product. For more information, visit our website www.hgo.com or call 0800 335555.
Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV. It's a Friday, but like I always say, we do not veer away from the vision of inspiring Uganda, even on a Friday. So make sure that we bring lighter conversation, but conversation that stays with you at heart and causes or stirs or nurtures a change within your being. My name is Julie F. Nantaba, and at this point we are having a conversation regarding education, inclusive education, and at that in particular, looking at a particular school, and that is Friends International Christian Academy. With me in studio is Pastor George Kasidye, who is the director of Friends International Christian Academy, as well as Pius Aweno, who is the head of the Friends International Christian Academy, celebrating 10 years. Now, definitely, where there's a celebration, you get to be happy about it and to jubilate, but you also want to know what are you celebrating and from where does it come from for you to be able to celebrate it. And that's the conversation we are having. I'm excited for one because as we know education, we only know it in the traditional manner that we've always known education. But did you know that we also have Christian academies? And I wonder what that looks like. Let's get the picture and get into the depth of this conversation. 0709 602592 is the WhatsApp number that you should engage and be a part of the conversation. Good morning, Pastor George.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming through.
It's my pleasure.
An honor having you. Pius,
Yes.
good morning.
Good morning, Julie.
Yes, thank you so much for coming
Thank
through.
you. Thank you for having us here today.
Right, let me start with Pastor George, who is the director of
Yes.
Friends International Christian Academy. So let's start off with the foundation of a Christian Academy. Before we go to Friends International Christian Academy, what inspired you to be a part of a Christian Academy? What does it mean?
ACE.
ACE.
Yes.
Please elaborate it for a viewer who might not be aware of ACE.
Yes. Good morning, viewers. I'm excited to be here. I'm called Pastor George Kasidye, and I'm one of the proprietors of Friends International Christian Academy with my wife, Dr. Gillian Kasidye. This curriculum that we are undertaking is called the ACE in full, Accelerated Christian Education. It's a system that is individualized learning. Individualized learning means that a child owns his or her own education, and that is something that we never used to. In 1996, I visited a friend who was in Nairobi. He was homeschooling his children. It happened that I spent a month with that family. And what I witnessed, I was convinced that this is the curriculum where my children will be channeled. By that time, actually, I was in courtship with my wife. So when I came back to Uganda, I spoke to her and I said, you know what? If God blesses us with children, I've seen a curriculum. What intrigued me is the way how children were learning by themselves, setting goals, getting disciplined, and also the interaction they had with their parents. You know, parents knowing their children, they know, you know, from morning, the evening, they set goals, they help them to answer questions that they have. And the way they were disciplined, I was like, wow.
Kindly allow me interject. When
Yes.
you say the way these children were studying, setting goals, is it possible for you to just paint us a picture of what exactly happens in a classroom for this child, what it looks like?
Yes, a child comes in, right? And then when the child comes in, he has a goal setting. Goal setting means that today I'm going to do math, but this is the number of pages I can do according to my ability. And the child owns his or her own education. Make sure that before the end of the day, he or she has accomplished the goals. And that's something powerful.
They are self-driven.
Self-driven.
There's no teacher around to
The
guide
teacher is
them?
just a supervisor. In case a child gets stuck, just put up the flag, and the monitor just comes around to say, "We are stuck. What's going on here?" And then helps the child, and the child moves on.
So who does the initial teaching of, yes, I'm going to study today, I'm going to study science, and I'm studying 5 pages of my book? Who supervises in that moment to say that, okay, I'm introducing a topic, and today, this is the topic that you're handling?
I want Pius to come in because he's a supervisor.
Oh, wow.
Full
yes.
time in the learning center.
Yes.
Would you just interject?
On that note, please, Pius, take us away. Give us the practicality of, yes, this child is setting goals, they are self-driven, but who's there to introduce the topics?
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Julie.
Right.
Really. And Now, talking about the life of a student in the Learning Center.
Yeah.
One, like Pastor George has said, it is an individualized curriculum. And so what does it mean? It means that the child takes charge of what goes on in the Learning Center. And like he's also mentioned about the supervisors and monitors. We have supervisors and monitors. Those are the two different categories of personnel or teachers who support the child in the Learning Center. The supervisor focuses on the academic assistance that the child needs, and the monitor does the basic permissions. Teacher, I want to go and use the washroom. Please go and use the washroom. Teacher, I want to score my work, and they can score. So now, how do they do it? A child sets goals the previous day for the next day. So they already know that I am working with maybe 6 subjects. I'm working with math, English, literature, science, SST, word building. And so they know that tomorrow, let's imagine today is a Friday. So the child who set goals yesterday knows tomorrow is a Friday, and it's a half day. So already they are triggered to know that I have a half day, and this is so much that I can do. And so they get to set, actually the teacher doesn't intervene, really. The teacher will just come and check to see that the goals have been set. But the child will determine how much of the work they want to do the next day. And so it is basically about the student. Yes, you determine how fast or how slow you want to go.
So the individuals I've heard you mention are the teacher, the monitor, and the student.
Yes.
So it's 3 people manning this.
Yes.
And ultimately, how is this child graded? Or do they do exams?
Oh yes, they do. Yeah, we do what we call a continuous assessment.
Yes.
And so after, they do what we call PESs, Packages of Accelerated Christian Education. That is the booklet they do. So after every PES, there is a test after the test, after the PES. Yes, and it's called a PES test.
Right.
Yes, so they write, after they have done the checkups, the activity packs, the self-tests, now they will have to do the PES test. Yes, and so the PES test basically, it gauges, understanding, memorization, yes.
From what I hear you say is that this system of education takes away the system of education that we had, or we went through, or is still happening, which is traditional. Not taking it away entirely, but what I mean by the system, is we grew up being streamed.
Yes, that's true.
Where you are streamed in terms of how quickly you pick.
Exactly.
Stream A, stream B, stream C, stream D. A is for those sharp students.
Yes,
Stream D is for, and C, D,
Yes.
So from what I see, it's like this child is handled on their pace, and they're competing with themselves.
Because we are different.
Yeah.
Julie, you remember in your classroom, there are those who are very fast, those who are slow. But how you just can't put them in one box and say you go the same pace, because we are different. For me, when I was studying, I'm a person who used to be a little bit slow, but when I get to understand, I do understand.
Yes.
So I did a lot of reading on my own. I didn't want to go. I didn't understand firsthand as the teacher was teaching, but I would see my friends like, at a glance, they get everything, and for me, that was not my system of learning. So that is how God designed us. Okay? So because we are individuals, this curriculum gives you an opportunity to go on your own pace. There's no child who is stupid. All of us, we have abilities, but on different levels.
Very interesting. And the subjects taught are the same as what we know. Rather mathematics, science, they go in class and study what is science, what is SST. Interesting curriculums that exist.
It's very interesting, yes.
Yes, but ultimately I think the goal for me, what has stood out for me is the fact that each child is handled at their pace.
And the video,
because with what I went through, if you are not in A class, and of course you have your parents putting you on pressure, you have to be in A.
I know.
0709602592 is the WhatsApp number that you should engage. You could have questions as to what the accelerated Christian education looks like. Please ask away. You will be receiving the answers from honorable gentlemen here, Pastor George Kasirye, as well as Pius Awenu, who are from Friends International Christian Academy. Now, let me come back to you, Pastor George.
Yes.
And Friends International starts, when does it start?
We started with homeschooling, actually. Homeschooling, because we came back from New York, and we had 3 children. 2 were ready for school. They were already studying, but when we came back, because we had determined that our children are going to be channeled through SE. So we started homeschooling them, using this SE curriculum. And before we knew, friends used to come and they interact with our children. And what they saw is what I saw when I went to Nairobi.
Right.
Everyone would say, something different is here.
About your children.
Can you also handle my children the same way? And they brought their children. Before we knew, the number was growing and we couldn't homeschool. Then after that, we opened the school in 1984. We went to full-blown school in 2014.
Yes, 2014.
2014.
Right.
Yes.
Interesting. And one would wonder, homeschooling, doesn't it, in fact, let me bring this to you, Pius. Doesn't it interrupt the parents? Because if you say homeschooling, I'd imagine one of the parents has to stay behind to monitor this procedure as it happens. So now I'm looking at career-oriented parents who still have a window to, achieve in their careers. Doesn't it become a stumbling block?
Well, I would want to look at it from this perspective that, first of all, it is very exciting that for homeschooling, just like any other curriculum, it has its strengths and its weaknesses. But in this case, I would think that with homeschooling, its advantage lies in having just one person handle the job that could be done by about maybe 5 or how many teachers or instructors. In a conventional school, you'd have every teacher handling a specific subject. So the math teacher comes in for math. The teacher of English comes in for English, and that is it. But now in this case with homeschooling, you need one supervisor to just help support the children, because the work is being done exclusively by the child. You see? Yes, but then coming back to now the conventional SEE, the advantage now is that here you have a fully fledged learning environment, learning space, and there are other factors that advantage this child when they are in this learning center. The social part, which may not be the case with the homeschooling. Yes, and so I'm thinking that is why and how Pastor George and his children at the time get to advance from just homeschooling to now a school. Oh,
so what you are trying to say is that ACE is not just homeschooling, but it can also be a learning center as long as it has the ACE curriculum.
Yes.
So now let's, indeed I'm staying with you, Pius, take us through now the learning center outlook. Because we've understood what it looks like at home. There is a teacher and a monitor plus the student, and of course an adult, a parent around. But with a learning center, what does it look like?
Oh yes, thank you. So the learning center is actually a very fascinating space, very beautiful. It has what we call offices. The first time I got to SE, they mentioned there's an office. I'm like, well, so every child walks in with a bag and sits in office. Well, crazy, but they have offices 3-sided.
Oh, offices for students.
Exactly. 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 That was the same impression as well, yes. But they have offices, and these offices are basically working spaces for the child. So attention is a very important aspect, that the child is able to have all the attention locked in on their work. And so there are no distractions, unlike the conventional national curriculum, where it's mainstream class. So here, the child comes in, sits there, focuses on their work. And so this office here has a dashboard. They put in their goal card, the one we talked about, the one they used to set the goals. They have their star chart, and they have all this there, and their pace holder, a racket where they put their paces, their pencil bags, and so the child has everything there.
And the flags.
And the flags. So we have 2 very important flags, the Ugandan flag and the supervisor flag. Yes, and so the supervisor flag is one they used to seek academic help from the supervisor. And the monitor flag, which is the Ugandan flag, they used to summon the monitor to get permission to do a few things in and out of the learning center. So how does it look like? So we have offices for the children. We have what we call a supervisor station. That is where the supervisor basically situates himself or herself. Yeah, so we also have what we call a testing tables. So all these handle different roles. Yes, so in case a supervisor wants to have an interaction with the child, perhaps on his table, he can ask him to come to his table and they can support the child.
And have a one-on-one.
Yes. For the testing table, when they do the PES tests, they don't do them in the offices. They do them on the testing table. Yes, so they write their test there and the supervisor can initial and they can get back to the office. But we also have what we call scoring stations, score stations. So this is where the child comes to score their work. You know, they have asked for permission from the monitor to come and score their work after they have worked to a score strip. So one thing I didn't say is that our PESs are structured and they have score strips. So score strips are like on a random day you meet traffic lights, like, hey, red, stop there, go and score. And when you've scored, then green, please move on. So basically something like that.
Right.
Yes.
And it helps these children understand how far they are going or where they're set.
Every concept, every
Yes.
concept,
Yes.
you have a stop, score, and then if you've understood, move on. If you don't understood, you need help.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a mastery system.
Staying with you, Pastor George, now that you talk about that, how is this communicated? Because with the conventional education, we know where if things are slow for a child, sometimes teachers communicate it in a way that will hurt this child for the longest time into their adulthood. You know, either you're slow or use narratives that will shape their mindset. So in this setting, how is this communicated to a child that stop? We need help here. Let's first sort it out, and then you'd move.
Yes, because after every segment of the PES, there is a score. Okay, a score strip is to check you out, to see whether you've understood this concept before you move on. So you come, you score, and then the supervisor gauges whether you've understood. If you've not understood, then he has to come in just to see what's the problem, where do you get stuck here. And after the child picks up, then it's given, you know, green, like a green light. Now you can move on.
All right.
To another concept.
Wow.
Yes.
So now, how eventually do they reach their end goal?
Come in.
Pious.
Okay. Yes, and I'm just going to mention a disclaimer here. There's something interesting about SEE. Previously, I know most of us, really, all of us really did the national
At least all of us at this table.
Exactly. So there's something about SEE, the mentality of the teacher and the student, you know, in contrast to the national curriculum. In the national curriculum, the teacher, when we're studying education at university, they say the teacher is the alpha and omega of knowledge. But in this case, it's different. The teacher has a certain humility by way of practice and by way of training. Yes? So the teacher has the humility, one, to mention to the student that they do not know a thing if they are asked, but also the student has the humility to reach out to the teacher just in case they are stuck with a concept. Maybe it's a math concept and they do not get it right. Like, teacher, I don't seem to understand this. And so once all these roadblocks are, you know, dealt with, then the child gets to progress really, really, really so well.
Interesting.
Yes.
And how are they graded at university?
Oh, yes. We have a grading system. Their weights. Yes. So after a child has completed their advanced, so then what you're doing now, or what is happening is that we have in universities, like Chambogo University is taking in SE students.
Nice.
We have UCU is also taking SE students.
Nice.
Yes, and yes, I think Mast as well.
Mast as well.
Yes,
nice,
yes.
nice, nice. That's beautiful. Anyways, let's look now at Friends International, and I understand Friends International is celebrating 10 years.
Yes.
Is that you, Pius?
That's that is me, yes.
Friends International Christian Academy is celebrating 10 years of championing inclusive education. I don't know if this should go to Pastor George. When you say inclusive education, what were you targeting?
We've found out that there's children who have different learning disabilities.
Right.
We never knew about that, but along the way, we realized that some children have problems, some issues. And we realized that we needed to pay attention to those children. We call them special needs children. So we decided to give them a space and also to get an expert, someone to work with them, also to work with the parents.
Right.
Yeah, these children are diagnosed and we know their problem, and then we get a way of how to help them, learn at their own pace, and also to unlock the potentials that is hidden in them.
Nice.
And because this system is individualized, it's very, very suitable to help the special needs children.
Right.
And after they, they've caught up with, they're broken away from the shell, they are included in the mainstream. They go and join others.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Now, in the interest of time, Pius, please just give us how we are celebrating these 10 years. Where are we celebrating? How are we celebrating? How can we be a part of the celebration?
Yes. Lovely. Thank you so much, Julie. So this anniversary is something that is so dear to us. You don't turn 10 every other time, Yes, and so in this case, we've had different programs running throughout the year. So we decided to celebrate it throughout the year. So early in the first term, we had sports, basically. We had a sports gala inviting schools and friends from within and outside, participating with us, basically celebrating the anniversary, the milestone. Yes, in the second term, we had what you call the exhibition, skills exhibition. So having children just, go into production, value addition, and that was very exciting.
Right.
But now, this specific term, we have the core activities. Last month we had what we call the dinner, the fundraiser dinner, because all that we're doing this year is championing inclusive education. And what we are doing is that as Friends International, we are doing all this to raise a facility, to put up a facility, a specialized facility for these children with the special learning needs. And you can know that these children go through different challenges compared to the other children in the mainstream. Yes, and so what we're doing is that all the activities that we're doing this year, the celebration is dedicated to harness and raise funds to construct this facility. Yes, and so we had a dinner which was very successful. We thank God. And now we have the run that is coming in just tomorrow. So tomorrow we are running for special needs, and the theme is Every Child Matters.
Lovely.
Yes, every child matters.
Where are we running? And from where to where?
Exactly.
Are we paying?
No, we're not paying per se, but we're just buying a kit.
Okay, how much is the kit?
The kit is just only 40,000 shillings.
Right.
Yes. So we are running around Chanja, Kungu, Buate, around there. So we have three roads. We have the 3-kilometer route, we have the 5 and the 10. And I think, Julie, you could manage the 10. I think you could manage the 10,
For the cause, for the cause.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yes.
But how best do we get in touch? Do we have social media platforms that we can?
Yes.
Or numbers, a number that can be called?
Yes. So you could call 0784 86 37 and 54.
Right.
You could also call 075 99 7 33 50. And for more information, you can get this information on the flyer. We have a flyer circulating.
Is it on social media?
Yes, it's on social media. Yes. So there's just one more event I didn't mention.
Right.
We have what we call the grand finale. Just as it is, grand finale. So on the 29th of November, we're just coming to celebrate God. This is more of a celebration, worship. Celebrating God for how far He has brought us, but also thanking God for these special human beings. Because every child is special, every child is unique.
Right.
And so we're just celebrating God for these children, celebrating God for how far He has brought us, and most importantly, for where He's taking us.
Definitely.
Thank
you. Very, very, very beautiful conversation. Get in touch and be a part of this cause, but also have your child taken care of in the most beautiful and detailed way at that. 0784 863754 or 0754 997 3350, and get in touch with Friends International Christian Academy. With me in studio has been the director of Friends International Christian Academy, Pastor George Kasirye, alongside Pius Awenu, who is the head of the celebrations at over 10 years of Friends International Christian Academy. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV. And also something to take note of, Prime Minister Nabanja, that is, Uganda has been honored and celebrated at the Uganda National Day during the Osaka Expo 2025 in Japan, a day specifically set aside to spotlight Uganda's political and socio-economic heritage and to market the country on the global stage. Head of the Ugandan delegation, Prime Minister Robina Nabanja, was the chief guest. She was joined by several dignitaries from government and the private sector, all emphasizing the need to strengthen trade relations with Asia's second largest and the world's third largest economy by GDP. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV. Up next is a story of a comedian. And of course, we'll be having live feeds in anytime from now. But for now, let's have a story on comedy in just a bit. Good morning.
As the spirit of Uganda fills the ambience on Japanese soil, the national flag rises to the pinnacle of the expo stage and the anthem plays on. One cannot help but anticipate what comes next. Ito Yoshita, Japan's minister in charge of World Expos, officiated the launch of Uganda's National Day at Expo 2025, delivering a keynote speech that highlighted Japan's recognition of Uganda as a peaceful, secure, and investment-ready economy.
Osaka this June, with numerous private sector companies attending from both countries. I understand that Uganda became Africa's largest exporter of coffee this May.
Uganda's Prime Minister, Robina Nabanja, reaffirmed the need for deliberate efforts to deepen bilateral relations between Uganda and Japan. She applauded Japanese companies already thriving in Uganda and called for more collaboration in trade and investment.
Ladies and gentlemen, we attracted a company called Skipon, a fertilizer developed by Arc Planter, a Japanese company that has already undergone scientific trials in Uganda, and the results are positive.
The renowned Ndere Troupe, one of Uganda's most celebrated cultural ensembles, treated guests to a vibrant showcase of Uganda's heritage and diversity through traditional dances from various regions, an effort to boost the country's tourism appeal. Ugandan private sector representatives exploring the Japanese market urged government to implement strategies that would fast-track entry into world-class markets like Japan.
So this they can copy to other areas and which attract more people. The whole idea is to all exporters from Uganda has to achieve more markets in Europe, all over the world actually.
We urge Uganda to come on the ground, our government to come on the ground and support the private sector by mentioning them company per company, supporting them in whatsoever they are doing, because at the end of the day, we are selling Uganda and we are promoting Uganda products.
The Osaka Expo 2025, which concludes this weekend after 7 months of showcasing futuristic innovations in technology, architecture, medicine, agriculture, and other sectors, will forever remember Uganda's National Day in Umeshima, Osaka. However, the business community has been challenged to match their words with actions if Uganda is to translate this camaraderie into tangible economic gains in the near and distant future. Reporting for UBC News, Wadulo Arnold Mark in Japan.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio. Take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, twice a day? Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Ginshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product. For more information, visit our website www.hgo.com or call 0800 335555.
Good morning, Uganda. Always a pleasure having you watch UBC TV, and always blessed and honored to serve you here at the station that is ready always to inspire you. Now, let's talk some comedy, and with me in studio is a very interesting gentleman. Now, in the interest of time, of course, we can't have him crack some jokes, but at least let me allow him speak to us. Lawrence, good morning.
Good morning, Julie.
Thank you so much for coming through.
Nice to meet you too, and it's my pleasure.
All right. Why are you a comedian? For sure.
Comedian. It's the spirit, that creative mind that pushed me out of my career.
What was your career?
I originally did pharmacy in school.
Can you imagine?
And I practiced for 7 years, 7 years of pharmacy practice. And then something happened. October last year, I happened to lose my job, or should I say jobs. 3 of them. I was juggling pharmacy dispenser. These are the people you find behind the pharmacy counters. I was juggling, I was also a marketing manager, and I was also a procurement officer. And then boom, I lost all those jobs at once.
And now you're a comedian.
And now I'm a comedian. Strangely, when I lost those jobs, I went home and I felt relief, because I was literally working from 8 to like midnight.
Yes.
But I was like all human again. And that gave me the gap to sit home and think of what to do with my life next.
Wow. Now his comedy show is coming up, and the production is called And Now I'm a Comedian.
Right.
I cannot imagine what script and skits he has of And Now I'm a Comedian, but definitely we have to look into when we are able to experience this. Now, when do you birth this comedy show? When do you decide that now you're going to put up a production of Now I'm a Comedian?
And Now I'm a Comedian. You see, Uganda for a long time hasn't had a comedy club. A comedy club is basically a premise that operates comedy like 2 to 3 times a week, and we haven't had that in a long time. Now, with the birth of a new comedy club in Tinda, Laughing Marabou Stock, I crossed into comedy, and my career kind of accelerated very fast.
Right.
And people there, the legendary comedians, they all told me, without putting up a show, you will not be a comedian. So they always pushed me, do your own show, do your own show. Now with my own show, I'm literally on stage anywhere between 40 minutes and 1 hour.
Wow.
So it takes a lot of preparation, but it also lets you let go of the old jokes.
Yes.
I don't know if you've watched comedy, but there's that tendency of comedians doing
repeating
old material.
Yes.
So with the show now, having offloaded those, you get back to work and write another 1 hour, which might take anywhere between 6 months and... Yeah.
That is a lot of work. Before we even get into any other conversation, first tell us of when your production is, at least let's mark those and take them off the plate.
It will be on 23rd of October, this very month. It will be a Thursday. Show starts at 7:30 up to 10. Laughing Marabou Stock is the comedy club. It's located in Ntinda at Donnell's Bistro. If you're coming from Ntinda side towards Nakawa after Kato Shoppers, slightly opposite there, it's where the club is located.
That's why
tickets go for 25,000. They are on our website, laughingmaraboustock.com. Don't send the money to my numbers. They demand me, you people. They will chop the money.
So where do we send the money?
All tickets are bought online. Laughingmaraboustock.com is the website.
Yes. Lovely. Anyways, one thing I know about comedians, at least for the most that I've seen, those who are really comedians, and I will liken you to Trevor Noah. You guys have some degree of brilliance, and you've just expressed it as well. You are a pharmacist. You are doing procurement. You are also doing marketing. Yes, so that takes brains too.
True.
So take me through your creative process as you're writing, scripting all your skits.
As I write, what I actually do is stand-up comedy. I do a few skits, but I don't want to identify as that.
Also, there's a difference.
There is a big difference between the skits and stand-up comedy. Now, stand-up comedy, it's a raw art. I just show up. If I have 3 people, the show starts. It's just basically me speaking, telling people a story, and somehow they find it funny. Now, skits, that is the acting. So what I want to identify as is a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
So my writing is basically, I sit down, I observe something, then I start writing, and then I flip, I get all the different perspectives of that topic. For example, if you go to a fuel station, I observed it today, they will tell you phones are not allowed.
And yet we all have them.
Yes, but then before that sign, below that signpost, they will put, you can pay using Momo. So you observe something that, you see the controversy, you can go home and write about it.
That's a paradox indeed. Something we really take note of, but you did take note of that. What inspires you to maintain your name, Lawrence Suna?
Now that's stand-up comedy as it is. Trevor Noah goes by.
Trevor Noah.
Everywhere he goes.
Right.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle.
Coming to Uganda here. The recent comedians all. Hilary Okello goes by. Hilary Okello. Okello, things like that. So in stand-up comedy, it's better to identify with your name, because as soon as I step on stage and I say Suna Lawrence, there is a group that says, oh, Suna, this is our guy. Oh, this is Lawrence. Then it's reality now, because I'm going to, most of the stories we say on stage are 80% true. We only exaggerate like 20% or 10%. So if I say I'm Suna Lawrence, I'm a pharmacy professional. I've gathered the people who identify with Suna, then I've also added people who identify with pharmacy as well.
Yes.
So what I'm giving out is authentic.
Right.
So it's the authenticity that...
Now, I think you, given that you have the background of marketing and procurement, that means you also gather experiences from all fields. I identify with procurement, so I don't know what joke you'd have for me, but...
Procurement.
Aside being here, you know, talking and serving Uganda, at least I would identify with marketing and procurement.
Yes. Now that's what I'm saying, that if you're in the audience, you would really give me the attention if I told you something authentic in my joke or in my introduction.
Because
if I came
you relate.
Yeah,
and that's why
people
you
relate.
use your name.
That's why most of the jokes we do actually are things people relate with. If I'm to do a joke about rain, people will relate. When it's raining, you run and what. If I'm to do a joke about mobile money, taking my money before I, like a loan, people will relate with it.
Right.
So it's that authenticity. That's why we keep our names. It is dangerous to come on stage with a name like Yellow Jerrycan.
Like
Some
no one
people
will relate with a Yellow Jerrycan.
Let's see what this guy has. But introducing Julie, a comedian from UBC, people now start relating with you. Give it up for
Do you think
Julie.
I have the guts?
You got the guts.
What do you think it takes? Perhaps, what do you think I should start scratching?
If you can write, and because we basically, if you have a premise and a setup, and then the punchline is the problem. But I'm now finding out that the punchline is that anything can be a punchline. The punchline is that part that makes the people laugh. Now, it flips the expectation. For example, I recently did a joke last Tuesday where I said, now backstage, I met a comedian of mine and I was very hungry. I met him eating, like having a big meal with lots of pieces of chicken. And luckily, he noticed that I was hungry. So he offered me a piece of advice.
Oh, wow.
He told me to sell tickets. So now that people are expecting that now he's going to offer me a piece of chicken, but instead he offers me a piece of advice that I should sell tickets. The reason why I'm here as well is to push. So.
All right, Lawrence Suna, and now I'm a comedian, will be on the 23rd of October, and it will be at 7:30. Fee is 25,000. Venue will be at Donnell's Bistro. Ntinda. Tickets are at laughingmarbustock.com. What would your parting shots be?
For now, for the comedy lovers, because we are trying to redefine comedy as a whole entity.
Right.
Because so many, especially stand-up comedy, when you say comedy, when I told my mom, meanwhile, I don't know if my father knows that I'm a comedian.
What if he's watching? He has found out.
He has found out, but we haven't had that conversation yet. But I haven't told my mom. But when I say comedy, people say kazanyi nkirizi, monaka temba. But stand-up comedy now, we are trying to identify, we are trying to redefine. So, in short, we run shows every Monday at Bush Pig. It's at an open mic. Then Tuesday at Donnell's Bistro Ntinda, and then Thursday as well at Donnell's Bistro Ntinda.
Right. Thank you very much, Lawrence. Pleasure having you, and looking forward to your event on the 23rd of October. Now, right now on your screen is a live session that we are going for, and that one in particular is that is 30 years of the Constitution breakfast at the Kampala Sheraton Hotel. Let's plan to, of course, be a part of this conversation and the event that's taking place right now. Good morning, Uganda.
Directly addresses the critical contemporary challenges of institutional independence and the necessity of supporting democratic checks and balances. So I will just try to give us a sense of who is here in the room. Our chief guest, we have with us very distinguished people here. We have on your table, we have our keynote speaker, Justice Rehan.